"Please don't do this, Lilac," Sandy whispered, her heart pounding as she watched the ambulance speed away. The old neighbor had been the only support for her and her 3 children. "You can't leave me like this," she thought desperately. The idea that Lilac might never return was unbearable. Before we start, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our magnificent future stories. Good vision. Sandy, a young widow, had faced 1,000 difficulties after the death of her husband. The world had collapsed around her when Daryl, the only support and love of her life, had suddenly died, leaving her alone with 3 young children. Edgar, the eldest, was a serious and responsible child despite being only 5 years old. The twins, Mary and Alma, required constant attention, making Sandy's life a daily struggle. Fortunately, Lilac, her neighbor, was always ready to offer her help. Lilac was an older woman with a big heart and hard-working hands. Despite her advanced age and ailments, she always found a way to support Sandy, knowing how difficult it was to raise 3 children alone. The old woman often entered the young woman's house unannounced, bringing with her freshly baked cookies and a word of comfort. "Darling, let me give you a hand," she would say each time, rolling up her sleeves and getting to work. It was Lilac who pushed Sandy to look for a job when the economic situation became unsustainable. "Don't worry about the children," the old woman had said. "I'll take care of them while you work." But that day, something changed forever, when an ambulance rushed at high speed into the house next to her. "Edgar, I'm going to visit Mrs. Lilac," Sandy said with a lump in her throat. "Be good and look after your little sisters." Edgar nodded. Then she ran towards Lilac's house, hoping to find some reassurance, but what she found was a strange woman locking the door. "Where's Lilac?" she asked with panic in her voice. "She's in the hospital," the woman replied coldly. "We don't know if she'll come back." Sandy ran home, tears flowing uncontrollably. Her only hope seemed to be fading, and with it, the ability to keep her job and support her children. "What will I do now?" she asked herself, heartbroken. She thought back to the days when she had met Daryl. He was a strong and determined man who had saved her from a life of misery. Sandy's parents had been alcoholics, and her childhood had been a nightmare of poverty and violence. When Daryl found her, she was alone and desperate. He had welcomed her into his life, given her a home and a future. Even though their life together had been short and difficult, their love had been sincere and deep. With Daryl's death, however, everything had changed. She found herself struggling alone to keep a roof over her head and food on the table. Now, with Lilac ill, it seemed all hope was lost. But Sandy couldn't give up. She had to find a solution, however desperate. One morning, while shopping in town, she saw a poor old woman in town. She looked like a tramp, but she didn't ask for alms. She was clean and dignified, a mysterious figure who had caught Sandy's attention. "I have to try," Sandy thought. "I have no other choice." She approached the woman, her heart in her mouth. "Sorry," she began shyly. "I need a favor." The woman looked at her with kind, curious eyes. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "I have 3 small children and I have to work to survive," Sandy explained, holding back tears. "I have no one to look after them. Please, could you help me for a few hours? I will pay you." The woman looked at Sandy for what seemed like an eternity, then nodded slowly. "Okay," she said, "I will help you." Sandy breathed a sigh of relief, her hopes rekindled. He ran home and explained the situation to her children. "I will only be gone for a few hours. This lady will be staying with you." Edgar looked at the woman with curiosity and a little suspicion, but said nothing. Sandy kissed her children and ran to work, still worried but hopeful. As she worked, however, a disturbing thought continued to torment her. How did that woman know Edgar's name? Her heart began to beat faster, a sense of fear growing. I have to go home, she suddenly decided. Something wrong? If you liked the video, give it a valuable like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. 1,000 thanks. Sandy ran home as fast as she could with her heart pounding. When she entered, she found the woman sitting on the sofa, reading a story to the children. How do you know my son's name? She asked, her voice shaking. The woman smiled sadly. My name is Dana, she said. I am Daryl's mother. Sandy was speechless, the revelation hitting her like a bolt of lightning. The mother-in-law she had never met was there, in front of her, taking care of her children. Dana explained how, after her husband's death, she had decided to seek out Daryl and his family to ask for forgiveness and offer help. I'm sorry for everything, Dana said with tears in her eyes. I was wrong to judge you. Now I would like to fix it. Sandy felt initial anger, but then saw the sincerity and pain in Dana's eyes. She understood that life had punished her too, and that perhaps together they could find a better path. Dana proposed that she and the children move to a bigger house in the city where they could start a new life. Sandy accepted, despite her fears and doubts. She knew it was the right choice for her children. A week later, the woman and children moved in with their grandmother. The new house was spacious and bright, a place where they could finally be happy. As the days passed in the new house, the two women began to get to know each other better. She discovered that the woman, despite her difficult past, was full of affection and eager to build a relationship with her grandchildren. She told stories from when Daryl was little, filling the gaps in Sandy's memory and creating a bond with the children. One evening, while they were all sitting around the table, Dana shared a particularly touching memory. When Daryl was little, she began, he used to build little houses out of toys and say that one day he would have a happy family in a big house. Looking at you now, I feel that his dream has come true through you. Sandy felt tears fill her eyes. Dana, she said, I never imagined I would find such strength and love in you. Thank you for coming into our lives. The older woman smiled, taking Sandy's hand. The past is the past. Now we must look forward and build a future together. Dana's presence brought stability and serenity to the lives of Sandy and the children. The days of despair seemed long gone, replaced by new hope. With her experience and wisdom, she became a key figure, helping Sandy find a new, more stable job and organize her home life. One evening, Sandy and Dana were chatting in the living room, watching the children play peacefully. I never thought I could feel this happy, Sandy confessed. Despite everything, we managed to build something beautiful. Dana nodded with a sweet smile. Family is the most important thing, she said, and you are my family now. That night, as Sandy put the children to bed, she felt a deep peace within herself. She knew the future would be full of challenges, but with Dana by her side, she felt she could face anything. And you, do you think that forgiveness and family can really overcome any difficulty?